everybody. I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this is the You Talkin' to Me podcast. Back for another week. It's musical month, people. You already know this. Hannah, what's the synopsis of this week's musical? And what is this week's musical?
I was going to say, maybe we should let the people know what it is first. I could give you a mystery recap, but
Oh, yeah, let's
know.
just do the recap and see if they can guess it and pretend that they didn't look at the title.
All right, so the mystery recap is the blank, blank, blank tells... Blank, blank, blank. That's too many words. The blank, blank tells the inspiring tale of P.T. Barnum, who starts his life as a poor boy who loses his father and builds his dream life while facing challenges. As a child, P.T. falls for a girl named Charity at one of his dad's clients' houses. Over many years, they build a relationship, marry, and have 2 daughters. P.T. loses his job one day and has to decide what to do next. He buys a building and puts on a show with what society deems as odd people. Once he has the life he has dreamed of, he keeps pushing for more. His whole life seems to come crumbling down before him, and that is when he realizes everything he ever wanted was right in front of him. With the help of his friends, he builds his life back and starts to appreciate all that he has.
All right. Any guesses out there? Anybody think they know what it is? I know you saw the thumbnail. I know you saw, the title, but we're pretending that you're on suspense waiting for every word of ours to come out of our mouths. It's The Greatest Showman.
This is the greatest show.
It is.
You're welcome.
So good. And Hannah, please correct me if I'm wrong. Did we watch this together years ago?
I either had an aneurysm and don't remember watching it. I'm not positive. To be honest, people, we did discuss this fact before we recorded this. And I believe Rachel when she says that we watched it. I would agree that that is probably a very true possibility. I remember watching a movie with Rachel. I just couldn't for the life of me tell you what movie it was. For some reason, I thought it was Frozen. That's probably wrong because it wouldn't make sense that it was Frozen because Frozen didn't come out at the timeline that we're talking about. And I do remember that it was a newer movie.
The first time I saw Frozen was 3 years after it came out, which is very funny. I don't know why, I just never watched it. I swear I was sitting on your couch watching this film, the opening or whatever. I swear you had already seen it and you were just boiling up with excitement, listening to it be go. Oh my gosh, this most iconic opening of any musical, I swear to God, I've ever seen.
Okay, yeah, I believe that. I think that sounds true. I definitely want to talk about the opening scene and also a fun fact about watching Frozen for the first time. Hannah Opp, watched it for the first time on a date with a boy.
Oh, what an interesting life event.
Yeah, it was hilarious because it was this guy who was really popular in my school and he was a senior and I went on this date with him and everyone's like, oh my God, weren't you so nervous? And I was like, I literally couldn't have cared less at all. Should have been an early warning sign for me, but it wasn't. So.
What grade was this? How old were you?
I was either a sophomore or a junior in high school and he was a senior. But talking about that opening scene, I have a whole list of my favorite shots and we can talk about them as we go on with the things we want to talk about. But my first one is the opening shot where P.T. Barnum is singing behind the stands or bleachers, whatever you want to call them, and the light and smoke and he's just dancing and it's his silhouette. And I was like, yes.
That was so beautiful. Okay. The director of this apparently it was almost unheard of before this. I think it's Matthew Gracie. I'm gonna relook it up real quick. But the director, I watched an interview with Zendaya and Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Fallon didn't know who this director was apparently. So, but he's a genius.
Well, that's an example of, people you don't have a name before you have a name, right? It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. You can make something that's like The Greatest Showman, okay?
Yeah, it's Michael Gracie. So I was close. Michael Gracie was the director of this. That shot and the music, oh my God, if that doesn't get you just like, like excited for not knowing what's coming next, I don't know what will get you excited. You know what I mean? This was so, I had goosebumps. I was just like, this looks so beautiful. Like the smoke, everything was literally, and it's such a good opening number too.
Oh, completely. Yeah, if that doesn't get you excited, like what hurt you as a child is what I want to know. I cannot think of a different opening for a movie that I appreciate more than this one. It is just amazing. It sets you up, and I remember the first time watching it on the movie theater screen was even better, I would say, just because it was big. And I could be wrong, but I remember when this came out hearing somewhere that it was actually designed to be watched at a movie theater, like on a large screen versus at home.
Oh, I'd believe that 100%. They also designed it to feel as much like a Broadway musical as possible. Like, random fun fact in the middle, like Zendaya, they told her straight up, you know, start working out because we're going to use your stunt double as little as possible. Okay, you know, like they wanted it to feel and look as real as they could. Like, yeah, the camera angles like were all over the place and stuff, but it didn't feel like a movie though half the time. I feel like I felt like I was watching a musical. It was so good.
So good. So if you remember from our podcast about Fiddler on the Roof that we said it felt like a movie version of a musical, it really did. Whereas this one, I agree with Rachel. It felt like you were watching a musical, even though, but sometimes it almost felt like you were in the musical. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, I would say so. I think a main reason why this one we have such double standards like on is because there isn't a comparison. Like there isn't the Broadway version of this that I know of, at least. It was so immersive. The beauty of the shots. Like there's some parts where I was like, this is so CGI'd. Like, I don't know, there's a part in The Greatest Show where the horses are like jumping or whatever, like in the background. It's so weird. I was like, since I've already seen this, I'm gonna try and pay attention to random things in the background. And that was really weird to me. But you're willing to look past it because the way I don't even know the way the people looked, like it was like there's a filter on them or something. They just looked so surreal and glamorous and effervescent or something. I don't even know the words that I'm trying to find, but it was like they were softened. And so when the CGI stuff kind of looked CGI'd, you were willing to be like, well, that could have been real. Like, that's possible.
It's weird that you say effervescent because that is the word I was going to use. I was going to use that and just like emitting a glowing property. They all just are so full of life and bubbly and charismatic, and I don't know. I really love the diversity that is in this movie too, because obviously we talked about how it's the people that society deems as odd. So you're not getting your run of the mill standard Bill next door person. You're getting all sorts of different people, different skin tones, different hair lengths, different body sizes. I love that.
Yeah, we're definitely not taking a walk, taking a stroll through North Dakota and just picking up anybody that you see at the Target. But yeah, I did like the diversity of it, but I do think it is worth mentioning that, you know, P.T. Barnum is a terrible human being in real life. He's the worst. Apparently, just awful, racist, would profit off of these odd freaks in quotations. But this movie makes it seem like he's doing a good thing for them. But there's that scene where he goes to Charles's house and Charles is like, they're gonna all laugh at me. And he's like, well, they're laughing anyway. And it's like, might as well like make money for it or something, he said. Like, they're gonna laugh anyway, might as well make money while doing it. And I was just like, that's not how it should be done, but that's okay. The real Charles, the real person that's based off of, was actually 4 years old and not 22, like in the movie. Another fun fact. But yeah, he was just the worst. And I am shocked. I mean, Disney is very good at rewriting things and being a little racist or a lot racist if we go even further back. But this movie, though, is so good. So good. Music is literally the best musical music I've heard in a very long time that you're willing to like not Google it or just like accept it as fact and just forget that P.T. Barnum was the worst human ever. So you're just like, that's fine. Million Dreams is a bop though, so
So I guess it's not accurate per se when you talk about Barnum's personality, but something that is apparently historically accurate is the burning of the museum, which the real Barnum's Museum burned down July 13th, 1865, which honestly, I didn't even actually know that Barnum was a real person. I thought that this was a made up story, but here's me living under my rock. Call me Patrick Starr.
oh my gosh. Hannah's the best. We literally Google things after every film we watch, and Hannah's just like, but what if I didn't know that P.T. Barnum was real, even though the Barnum and Bailey Circus is like a real thing that's existed for over 100 years?
Am I dumb or is that also an animal cracker?
I think so. I think they probably have animal crackers, unless that's like one of those Mandela effect things. But I
Yeah.
totally remember like Barnum and Bailey animal crackers.
And once again, I just thought that that was a made up thing. Rachel just showed me a picture of the animal crackers
It's
box.
Barnum's animals crackers. So it's definitely a Mandela effect thing. People, please reach out to us and tell us what you thought it was, because I thought it was, even if I just thought it was Barnum's animal crackers, it's apparently Barnum's animals crackers. That is not a thing you're supposed to say. That's literally illegal. I'm like personally offended by this.
Yeah, who, what, why? I don't like that, but okay. I don't like finding out things like that where you think they're one way and then they're something else.
Yeah, it just really ruins things for you. Like when you find out P.T. Barnum was a racist. So, which is funny with this movie because there's that whole interracial love story with Zendaya and Zac Efron, which what are the odds that they find two people that start with a Z to fall in love with each other in the movie to cast them? That's one thing. Two, both of those characters are made up. They're not real characters in real life, but they're just made up for the movie. But I do like their storyline for the most part. I think the progression was very natural for me, at least in Never Enough, when Jenny Lind is singing and Zac Efron and Zendaya are like standing next to each other. Sorry, Philip and Anne Wheeler are standing next to each other, and they like their little pinkies like kind of touch a little bit, like rub past each other. Oh my gosh, I was like the electricity that you could see in Zendaya's face. You're just like, oh my gosh, this is so real. Like when you, I don't know, just like touch hands with someone that you like really like for the first time, and then they like are kind of holding hands, and then they go away when their scene or whatever, and Zendaya's like truly just like F you. That was the worst, and she like leaves. Oh, and then they kiss for the first time when he's in the hospital or whatever. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, but the progression was great. They did not like amp it up where they're like so passionate for each other that they have to sleep together on the first night. Like half these movies do. It's like, okay, that might be true for some people, but I'm glad one, they took like the history aspect of it of like they can't be seen together really, and the whole just like I don't know, when I have a crush on someone and like my leg like would bump up against theirs, I'm like physical touch, electricity, my heart, I'm gonna die.
Yes, I like the progression with the relationship too. And like Rachel said about the history of not being able to be seen together, you have to remember this is set in New York City in the mid 19th century. So it is illegal, as far as I know, for interracial couples to be together. And before we talk about that hand scene, there's another favorite shot of mine. So there's a few favorite shots of mine that are up until the moment when they're holding hands. The first one being the rooftop dream catcher scene. There's this scene where PT brings home this thing that he calls a dream catcher for his daughter. It's his daughter's birthday, and he tells her that whatever she whispers into this dream catcher will come true. Like it'll hang on to your dream until it comes true. And it has a lit candle in it or something like that, and you spin it and it's a bunch of holes in this little metal contraption thing, and it creates star-like qualities all over these sheets that are hanging on the roof, and I just thought that that was so pretty. And then the next scene that I love is the bar scene with Philip Carlyle and P.T. Barnum, and it's when P.T. is trying to convince Philip to come join the circus and be a part of it. And Philip was like saying, well, I'm part of this high class family. Like I will be a laughing stock if I come and participate with you guys. And it's involves a lot of heavy drinking, which is probably not like a great thing to advertise to children. They take like 12 shots, but the dancing and the sound syncing of the shot glasses on the counters and like, I don't know, it was just beautifully done. But the hand holding thing, I have Charity watching Jenny Lind and PT watching her. So Charity's like feeling heartbroken because PT, she knows that PT's watching this Jenny Lind and she's like, oh my God, she's beautiful. She's amazing. And then Philip and Anne start to hold hands, and there's just a whole lot of emotions happening in that scene.
Wouldn't PT and Philip be dead at the end of that bar scene? Like, I understand people take 12 shots in a night. That is a thing some people can do. They took it within 4 minutes. They should be dead.
It depends on the person. Coming from a past history of really binge drinking and not having a good mentality with alcohol, I am someone who easily would start the night with 7+ shots or just downing like 6, 7, 8 straight ounces of vodka. Like it just, for me, that worked. Not saying I was like coherent and knew what was happening, but I didn't die. So it is possible to not die.
Was that in like a short, how quick of a time did you take these shots?
1 minute or less.
And here she is today, folks, a living miracle.
Yeah, that's why I'm sober now.
That would be your show. That would be your act in The Greatest Show. Taking the most shots of alcohol in the shortest amount of time and surviving.
Yeah, one time I did a power hour with my friend, which is where you're supposed to take a shot of beer every minute for an hour. And it's like 5 beers or something. And we accidentally finished in 40 minutes. And she was literally throwing up in the bathroom. And I wasn't even buzzed yet. I was like, let's go.
But I literally was just shocked at that. Yeah, and it's like rated PG for like children. Yes, I understand it's PG because of probably the alcohol. And they say damn in that song. Like, oh my God. But still, like, this is rated PG. That's still allowed for children. A lot of the songs start off the same, I think, where it's like quiet, kind of almost talking, or like quick, like da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. It's like mumbling. You can kind of hear what they're saying, and then it gets like this huge like dance number afterward. I understand that is how songs progress. I just wanted a little variety, but I still ranked almost all of them 4 or 5 stars. So like obviously they did something right, but I just noticed that.
I definitely agree with the fact that they start out soft, because if I play them on my Alexa, I literally will be like, hello, I said play something. And then all of a sudden I'll turn up the volume and then it's like, ah! And I'm like, okay, it's on.
So Hannah really liked a lot of the shots, and that's what she really seemed to focus on, where I was enamored by a lot of the sound quality and whatnot throughout this film. In particular, the only thing that I remember writing down was in A Million Dreams, like the original version that they sing at the beginning. It is one of it's the first song that I've ranked 5 stars. I know we've only done one musical so far, but still, it's the only one that I've ranked 5 stars so far out of the musicals that we've watched. But the sound of like him opening the doors, or you know, Charity screaming, or like you could just the sounds were so good. The fact that like, okay, I was in an internship where we did videos. If we put background music on the video, which is very normal, we put a lot of background music on it, we still were told like, well, you still want the original sound quality of the videos that you took, you know, of, let's say it was of people gardening and mowing lawns. Like I did a video on the landscaping crew at UND over the summer at my college, UND, University of North Dakota. So sorry about people who don't know what that is. We would have them like shoveling and the lawnmowers going by and things like that, or the wind, whatever was there. And it makes it sound more real and that you're in the moment and stuff, which I really liked, that they kept a lot of the quote unquote original sounds. You know, obviously almost every sound in films is added in post-production, especially when they're so crisp like these ones were. But it felt like it was real. It felt like you were immersed in it. And that song really, really just used it to their advantage and really amped it up with it when they didn't have to. You know, the song's good by itself, but the post-production background sounds of like, it made you feel like they were actually just living their life and singing the song in their life, you know?
I feel like it breaks down a wall or something so that you feel more immersed in it and it is happening. It's not fake. It just makes it feel more real. But I guess you are right that you focus more on the sounds of the movie and I focused on the shots because I still have a few more shots that I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And one of them is in this song, This Is Me. And it's when the bearded lady is singing and everyone is dancing and then they like jump up but they freeze midair and she's moving at a normal pace but they're like suspended in the air. I just thought that was really cool. And then my last favorite shot is when Philip and Anne are singing Rewrite the Stars in the ring and they're doing the trapeze work. I just thought, is it called trapeze when they're, because it was just one rope, I don't know, but that was my last favorite shot.
In the interview that I watched with Zendaya, she was talking about that song Rewrite the Stars and how difficult it was to get, you know, where they like kind of fly at each other and grab each other and spin. It was so funny. They played a clip of one of the many times that they failed at that and they just bump and bounce off of each other. Like if you miss it, you just bump right into each other. I wonder how many times they like smacked heads. But it was so fun to watch. But they were so good because they really did that. You know what I mean? Like they really did that.
Yeah, was their whole body just bruised from ramming into each other? Because I feel like you would have to have quite a bit of inertia coming at each other from such a distance to be able to do this circling effect. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love that they had the people do their own stunts too, which I could imagine would be kind of scary, but also thrilling at the same time, knowing that you get to do your own stunts. Like if you were in a movie and let's just say you were Zendaya's character, would you be thrilled to do these stunts? Would you be like, oh my God, why? What would you think?
I'd be really excited. One, I'd be like, damn, I'm strong. Like, look at me. You know, if I could do it, I would be really impressed with myself. Having the option to do it, I guess, is huge. Also, I'd have such big FOMO, like watching my stunt double doing it. Oh, I'd be like, no, let me try it. Because I don't like giving up, I guess. Like, if I'm doing something and trying to get it right and I can't get it and then someone else needs to do it, it just makes me be like, ah, but like I could maybe if I tried one more time, even though like maybe I definitely couldn't. I did rock climbing for a little bit, not like competitively or regularly or anything, but I would do it. And my middle school went to this place called Wolf Ridge, which is like a camp type thing for kids, I think mostly. I'm sure like high schoolers and younger it's really popular for. We went in the winter because my middle school hates us. I don't know. Some people I know, I literally know people who went there in Minnesota in the summer. Like, why would we do it in the winter? Like, that's so, I feel like that's such a big liability because, you know, they give us this whole list of things you have to bring. One, rude, because what if you just like can't afford to like have all of that winter gear? You just either went for the week or you stayed back and didn't go. And I feel like I remember some of the people I do remember just like chose not to go because they like got sick at sleepovers and didn't like being away from home. I mean, you're middle schoolers. I totally understand. You don't want to be away from your parents for a whole week. Like that could be scary. But I think I also remember people who probably just couldn't afford to go. That's a little sad. But anyway, regardless though, we went in the winter and we had to have all of this stuff and we would like learn about bird watching, plants, all this crap. But one of them was rock climbing. I don't know why. There's a rock climbing room and one of it the rock climbing walls had a goat at the top, and it was like a tradition or like an honor, like accomplishment if you could climb up and kiss the goat. Okay. Hannah would hate that. Absolutely germs. COVID maybe got me rethinking things. I used to be the person in cross country, if we won a trophy, we all would lick it. But I would take it first and lick like every inch of the trophy to be a jerk. And so everyone else would have to lick it after me. I was a terrible person. I wear a mask. Don't worry. I'm honoring COVID protocols. I'm not licking things anymore. We were doing the rock climbing thing. I tried it once, failed, couldn't make it up. It wasn't particularly hard, but I'm a weakling. There was this one guy in my group named Brett, and he had a broken finger and made it. And I was like, I can do it then. And so I did it. Everyone was so encouraging. It was so lovely. My school was just great. I don't know. They were just wonderful. And I made it, kiss the goat. But I just know, like, I would want to do the trapeze because I would be like, I can do it. I promise. If that professional can do it, I can do it with my one arm muscle. What about you, Hannah?
Oh, for sure. I have that mentality. I'm like, maybe not if someone else can do it, I can do it, but more like if they're like, nah, you probably shouldn't do it, I'd be like, yeah, freaking right, watch me. I'ma do it. Watch me do it. But I would definitely want to try it. I think that that would be so much fun. I kind of love heights. Like, I know a lot of people don't say that, but I love heights and I love that feeling of obviously knowing you're not gonna die, but like that rush of excitement. For me, like zip lining is one of the most fun things I can do. And so I feel like a trapeze would kind of be similar. I just remember one of my most fun experiences zip lining was in Colorado, and they were like, who wants to go first? And everyone's like kind of beating around the bush. And I was like, me, let me go. And then I let go and was hanging upside down over this giant ridge cliff thing, and I was like, heck yeah, look at me, I'm flying.
We went ziplining. My family went ziplining in Hawaii, actually, and my parents are the most scared of heights. But I don't know. My mom is also like an adrenaline junkie. Like, she did demolition derbies and beat all the boys like a badass. Like, my mother, I don't understand the side of her, where she came from, how she became the person she did, because she had like kind of not like a sheltered childhood, but like, I mean, she wasn't allowed to like ride on buses that boys were on. Like, I don't know. She had a very weird childhood, but she's just like, what if though? Like, I did demolition derbies, and like I said, she beat all the boys, and they even like mispronounced her name. They called her Paul because they like couldn't believe that a woman, Paula, could kick all these boys' butts. And then when she like took off her helmet or whatever, and she's got like hair, mom, I love you. Anyway, she listens to the podcast. She's such a cool person.
We love that. Thank you for listening, Paula, and you're a badass.
My dad is, I guess, I always thought my mom was the biggest person to be afraid of heights, like most scared of heights, but my dad is for sure the scaredest. We really realized though how scared he was when we were in Switzerland. Oh my gosh, I know I'm just bragging about all the great places I've been. I'm so sorry. Anyway, when I was in Switzerland, we stayed at a hotel that was literally on top of a mountain. Like, think of the highest mountain you've ever heard of. That's where we were staying, I swear to God. And driving up, we were like on the edge of a cliff. There was sometimes caution tape to like hold you in, you know, if you were to fall off, like a little caution tape to hold you in. Sometimes there wasn't. Thank God we were driving in the summer, because if it was the winter, we would have turned around. We would have just stopped there, lived on the side of the cliff forever, because that's not happening. But my dad was like physically sick just on top of the mountain, and we had to go down the next day to go to the zoo and come back up. He's like, I'm gonna live on this mountain forever. Like, he would not go down and come back up, which I don't blame him. I really was probably not about to do that again, because like, I'm sorry, like, I don't care who's driving. I don't trust anybody to drive me up and down that one more time. I don't care if you're a professional driver. So we had to we literally found a new hotel to stay at the next day. We checked out and was like, we're staying on the main level forever. Right. And so you're not scared of heights. I'm not scared of heights. Is there anything you wouldn't do though?
I don't know if I would skydive. I used to be gung-ho on wanting to go skydiving, and then I reached an age where I realized, I could die from doing things, and then the idea of skydiving sounds a little bit more scary. But as we were talking about this, I was like, oh my God, Rachel and I should go skydiving together. I feel like we should go and talk about it. I feel like I'd be more likely, I guess, now to do that over like hang gliding. Hang gliding, I think, is I would just not do because you just have like a kite and it's free. You just like jump off a cliff with a kite and you're like, I hope to God I don't die. You don't have a parachute. You don't have an engine motor thing to keep you up in the air. It is just you and a kite. And that sounds scary.
Okay, next podcast, Hannah and I are going to do it live skydiving. Anyway, so we were talking about The Greatest Showman. That's probably what we started this podcast with.
Probably what we started this podcast with. Do you have any fun facts? Because I feel like we were just talking about fun things. So, do you have any fun facts about this movie?
More fun facts. Let's see. Ooh, here's a fun one. So, I don't know if we said it before because I don't remember what we said 10 minutes ago. But the movie came out in 2017. And the Barnum and Bailey Circus, which I don't know if any of y'all have been to a Barnum and Bailey Circus. I'm pretty sure I did as a child. I think it came to Grand Forks and I went to one. But it's been around for like over 100 years in the 1800s. And it actually officially closed down in 2017, just like 7 months before the movie came out. Like, how weird is that? I don't know if it was timed that way on purpose that The Greatest Showman was going to come out. They knew it was going to shut down or something, but I think Barnum and Bailey should have just waited another year and people would have started coming again. Maybe we'll close in 2018. I don't know. Greatest Showman comes out, boom. Great sales.
But maybe Disney knew, that Barnum was a racist butt. So then they decided to wait until it was closed officially so that they wouldn't start to get another profit, so that they wouldn't be attracting money to someone who started this under racist conditions.
One, they probably did know that he was racist. Two, they made the movie anyway. Questionable. Three, I think they just pretended they didn't know. Who knows? I don't know. Disney, you know what? I'm not going to accuse you of anything right now in case you want to hire me one day. But I am going to say that I don't think it was coincided. I don't think it was talked about at all between the Barnum and Bailey Circus and this. I think Disney got the life rights of P.T. Barnum, but only P.T. Barnum, and that's why Bailey was not included. Because I was thinking, why didn't they like have the Philip character just be fake Bailey? You know what I mean? Like if they wanted a fake character, even if that's not how Bailey actually joined the circus, like why didn't they just like make him Bailey? But maybe they didn't get the life rights of him.
I have an interesting fact, or a fun fact, is that it was mostly filmed in New York City, which is actually not very common these days just because New York City is super expensive to film in. And then the bar, the Brunswick bar from the bar scene, is apparently now a speakeasy in Las Vegas. So they took that set and brought it to Las Vegas and made it a speakeasy, which I think is really fun.
I would go to that. If I am in Las Vegas, one, why am I here? I don't drink. I don't gamble. I hate gambling, actually. The only gambling I do, play bingo and buy raffle tickets for schools where I can win some prizes. Like, that's it. So bingo is the only gambling I do because you get a nice fun game out of it. And it's usually like $2 a ticket. Like, it's very cheap. And sometimes you win $50. So if you play the whole night, you can sometimes win like $100. Even if you just win $25. Even if you don't win anything, you had fun. Like, it's a party, okay? Bingo is where it's at. Poker, I don't understand. Like, my boyfriend tried to explain it to me. Don't really like it that much. I want to just daub a piece of paper over and over again.
Okay, so we had talked about music, and I feel like we didn't fully go in depth on all the music.
I was going to say, what's your favorite, Hannah? What's your favorite song here?
Honestly, my favorite song is the bar scene song, and then also, obviously, This Is Me. Like, hello, have you heard This Is Me? I love the lyrics to it. I feel like this is one of those times where the music and the lyrics are equally as good. There are some songs where I'm like, the lyrics are absolute garbage that you lit on fire, but I will listen to this because the beat to this is fantastic. There are other times where I'm like, the sound of this makes me think that I am like falling down a metal staircase dressed in aluminum foil. I can't say I've ever been dressed.
She knows what it feels like. And so she's just remembering the traumatic past that she's had. Let's like give her a moment of silence, folks.
I can't say I've ever been dressed in aluminum foil and fallen down a metal staircase. But, but there are songs on the internet that Rachel keeps laughing. I can't look at her. There are songs on the internet that is how I truly feel. Or not even on the internet, just like in movies or that are out and about in the world. And I'm like, honestly, did you hear this or were you trying to avoid the way it sounded? But the lyrics to it are so good that you're like, I can get past this sound. This is not one of those experiences. I feel like it's an experience where I'm like, yes, lyrics, amazing. Vocals, amazing. The beats behind it, amazing. 10 out of 10, would recommend.
And the message is so good. It's such a great message for everybody out there. It makes the fact that P.T. Barnum was terrible and cruel to these people, they're owning it now. They're like, I don't give a frick what y'all got to say about me or about my posse here. We're the best. We love ourselves. And you know what? We're not going to change for you. We're not going to change for society. We don't give a crap. Loved it. The songs that I hated were the quote unquote reprises. Is that how you pronounce it? Reprise? Reprise?
I genuinely don't know if it's reprise or reprise. I'm not knowledgeable enough to tell you that much.
But I hated both of them. There's two apparently in it. I don't know the definition of it, but I'm going to go on a rant real quick about why I don't think they're reprises, okay? Before we find out what a real reprise is. The A Million Dreams one, it's cute. I hated the kids' voices. I thought they were terrible singers. I'm so sorry. They should have just, I don't know if they had someone pretend to be kids and sing it or if they really sang it. I don't know. But the two kids that they had sing the first A Million Dreams were fantastic. The young PT and Charity. Super good. But the P.T. Barnum's children, I'm sorry, that sounded like me singing, and that's bad. I did not like that reprise. It was like 14 seconds long. And I don't know, it didn't feel like one because it didn't feel different to me. Same with the second Never Enough. Later on when she's like crying, and I think that's right before the kiss, right? Hated that. Anyway, I do not like Jenny Lind for that. That was very rude and manipulative. Anyway, I did not like that one either because it's just a part of the song, like shortened. High School Musical did it first. They are the first ones to ever do it right. That's hand to God, that's a fact. With what is it, like da 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 da, whatever that song is that Sharpay and Ryan sang for their like musical audition, and then later Gabriella and Troy Bolton show up and they're like singing it at the piano with Kelsey after being like the most wonderful humans ever. That's a good one because the first one was like do 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 do, like very fun and like poppy, and the other one was like slow and a piano instrumental. Like my definition of a reprise is that it's the same song but like kind of mix it up a little bit. It's a little different. I don't know, Hannah, what is it though?
Well, just so you know, it looks like both ways of saying the word are actually correct. And it is a repetition of musical material heard earlier in a composition, album, or live performance, repeated sections of songs. So it is actually what that is, but I would agree with the whole children's singing. I don't like the kids' voices for that. However, I think that the Jenny Lind one is good. I think that fits the definition. I think that it is very beneficial to the whole narrative of what's happening, because that is when that kiss happens and then you just want to like slap Jenny Lind in the face. Is that just me, or did you feel that too?
I'm about to wring her neck. I'm about to murder Jenny Lind because this was right after he was like, I don't feel the same way about you or whatever. Like she like came on to him and he was like, no thank you. And she was like, okay, but what if I kiss you in front of all the cameras?
Yeah, she's like, how about you just ruin my life because you didn't give me what I wanted? So how about I ruin your life by capturing this kiss on camera so your wife sees? Oh, it's like, no, you're a piece of literal garbage. Like, how about you go walk off the face of the earth? I'm feeling a little Spicy today. I don't know.
Hannah's about to like slap somebody. Like, I don't know, she's gonna go off over here. Just like tell Jenny Lind off. Tell her off. What would you say to her if you saw her right now, Hannah?
I'd probably drop a few expletives and my mom wouldn't be very proud of me. Except for I will say I'm very good at filtering myself around my toddler that I nanny. Like the worst word I'll say around her is butt, and that is literally part of your body. So there we go.
People out there, I respect you not wanting to say inappropriate words around your children, but I think, this is my personal opinion, that you should teach children the real words for body parts.
Yeah, because if someone tries to touch your child's body part, how about you teach them what the word is? Because it doesn't sound so bad saying, "Oh, Tony touched my cookie." How about no, you use the real word and then you tell them that no one's allowed to touch it unless you give them permission.
And we'll be done with that for now, but just saying, we think that we are full support of real names for body parts in this podcast. That's what we support.
Yes, we are. And I feel like that was a bit of a roller coaster of an episode.
What do you
But
mean?
it was fun, and I feel like, I mean, let us know if you like that where we kind of really go off on tangents and tell you more about our life, or do you like when it's literally strictly the movie? But do you have anything else to add about this episode? I mean, this movie?
One really small thing. In the A Million Dreams, the original version of the song, when they're singing it, when they're older and they're like dancing by the train and all that smoke is around, one, looked super cool. Two, I was like coughing just watching them dance in the train exhaust. Very great art direction, art coordinator. Y'all did a great job. But I was like, they are for sure going to have a black lung after this.
You know, it's the price you pay to get a good shot, though.
We do need to answer our question. We did not do that in the middle this time because we went off. We went off. We were very excited.
Yes, we will answer the question from last week, and then you will be able to hear the question for next week right afterwards. And hey, I guess it made it a little spicy because maybe you were expecting our answer to be in the middle, but psych.
So this one comes from Mary. All right. And she asks us, if you remember from last time, what do you think makes a good podcast? What do you think, Hannah?
I like a podcast that one is entertaining because I do a lot of times like podcasts that are informational too, or are going to teach me some sort of thing. It doesn't have to be like the whole thing is like I'm going to a friggin' college lecture or something, but I would like to probably learn something in it, but it needs to be entertaining because you could literally be giving me the best information ever that's very informative, but if it comes across in a boring way, I'm not going to listen to it. Sorry. So, what do you think, Rachel?
Well, we've already talked about what like our favorite podcasts are and whatnot in a previous episode, but I will say, sorry if I'm repeating anything. I don't really remember what I said, but I really like the random podcasts. So the only two podcasts I listen to really are so unstructured. They're so random. They have a lot of just like so I listen to the Tripod, like I said, which is the Try Guys. They just talk, they kind of have segments, but they just randomly bring up stuff like we did with the zip lining and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it had something to do with the last thing we talked about, but it really has nothing to do with the Greatest Showman. But I really do enjoy fun random segments, fun random stories, like just getting to know the people who are talking. That's what I like, and that's probably why I think this podcast is so fun, because we do have all these random stories about our lives and whatnot while still trying to somehow relate it to the thing we watched. So I think the entertainment factor is obviously a common denominator for both of us, just having something that we find entertaining. But I think the podcasts I listen to, they're usually like an hour or longer. I think Hannah would literally have to murder herself if she had to listen to that. So it just depends on who you are.
Yeah, I would say that for the lengthy ones, I have a friend who will send me podcasts by Rich Roll. And I'm not saying his podcasts are bad, but because they're so long, it's so intimidating to me. I'm like 2 hours for an episode. How the heck am I supposed to get through this? So every time I have listened to one, though, I appreciate every second of it, but I definitely like a little bit short. Like I would rather listen to 20, 30, 40 50-minute podcast.
All right. And the next question is from a listener named Jerry.
I'd like to know your thoughts on movies with musical groups.
All right. And we will answer that next week.
Yes, we will. So stay tuned for our answer. And if you have a question you would like to submit, you can either comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can email us at youtalkintomepodcast@gmail.com. Rachel, do you want to give them all of our social medias?
I sure would. We also have an Instagram at youtalkintome.podcast. You can send us pictures of you, videos of you listen to the podcast. We will post them on our story. You can also DM us for questions on there. Comment below on any of our pictures. We do pay attention to all of that stuff. We have Twitter, youtalkintome11, because we're both number 1. Subscribe and like our videos. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't know if we got anything else. Hannah?
Well, just if you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to our channel and then hit the notification bell so you're notified every time that we post. And also, if you think anyone you know would like our episodes, why don't you share them with them? I think that it could be fun to share with someone if you're like, oh, hey, I really love The Greatest Showman and I would like to watch it with someone. Maybe we watch it and then we could listen to the podcast together.
All right, with that, come back next week to watch the Prom podcast. And with that, I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this was the You Talking to Me podcast.
Bye.